First of all, Vincenzo, if I may come to you, this honeymoon period for Renzi, when eventually he gets in, it's not going to last very long because there's a lot to do in his inbox.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's plenty of things to do in Italy, and of course, as you said before, Renzi is relatively little known on the international stage, because compared to his two predecessors, Mario Monti and Enrico Letta, for example, in Brussels, Renzi's face is a relatively new one, so he will have to prove quickly that his determination to enact the necessary reforms.
Well, he's a celebrity in Italy, but only on a local stage. He isn't even a member of parliament here.
He's not a member of parliament, has never been a minister before, and is very young for Italian politics standards, but he has more experience, more political experience than many people think.
Okay, let me come to you, Giuseppe Ragusa. Good thing, bad thing, a government under Renzi? It certainly hasn't been elected by the people as he originally said he would have hoped.
Well, so what's strange, so this is a very new situation for Renzi, but also for Italy. It's the first time then a government is withdrawn support by his own party. Letta was ruling, Letta was supported by Partito Democratico, and Renzi party withdraw support to this government. I think what people should understand is Renzi has been very successful in doing very gutsy moves. He's been the scraper, has been very vocal against the old system of politics, but this time this move, although it's still gutsy, seems to resonate different with the people. So we should see how this is gonna play out.
Okay, we take a look at what he has to tackle so far, Giuseppe Ragusa. He's got to bring down an enormous €2 trillion debt pile, record unemployment. Growth came out last week, and yes, it grew for the first time in 10 months, but at an anemic pace of just 0.1%. And then he's got to try and keep the budget deficit in with EU guidelines that stipulate it can't be more than 3%. One of those targets is going to have to slip, especially considering, as I was saying before, he's not elected, so he doesn't have a massive bank of support in Parliament.
Well, that's exactly right. There are many problems. This problem has been on the table for many years, 20 years. We've been talking about reforms, changing the way the Italian economy is run. So Renzi is going to have he's not going to have the public support, he's not going to have the consensus, he didn't get the vote from the electoral poll, so this is going to be a difficulty. I think what everybody in Italy is hoping for is that his very young persona, his dynamism is going to help to do something very quickly. And I think what he can do very quickly is try to intervene on the bureaucracy. He has to try to simplify the Italian system. There are too many laws, they are too complicated. He has to try to do something very quickly there. On the more economic side, what he has to do, he has to try to cut taxes, especially on the low-income workers, and this is going to have two effects. It's going to try to increase the supply of work. At the same time, it's going to lower cost of labor, and it's going to give resources to people to be spent. In this case, it's going to stimulate the economy. But these are only short-term goal. Then we will see how long his government is going to last and whether it's going to be able to implement long-term measures.
Vincenzo, your response to that?
Yes, I just want to chip in on that one. I think Renzi sometimes is accused of being old style and zero substance. I actually agree that his dynamism and enthusiasm and ambition, if you like, will be beneficial in the short term. And I also agree that in the longer term we will have to see the tenure and the resilience of his government, because we should not forget that he's actually having to deal with broadly the same fractious and parliamentary majority that Letta had. And I think Renzi has a couple of interesting ideas on labour market reform. We will have to see how the parliamentary dynamics work out and if he's actually able to implement what he's planning to do.
Vincenzo, let's home in on that. I've worked in Italy for 5 years. Some of our viewers may be familiar with the labour system in Italy. It is notoriously inflexible. That is one of the reasons why you've got so many Italians who work here in London, like, for instance, you, because it's quite difficult to get a job if you're a young person over there. How is he exactly going to break the stranglehold over the labour market there? Because successive governments, even Silvio Berlusconi with 3 governments, didn't manage to do it.
Well, as I said, he has a couple of interesting ideas. One is, for example, the introduction of a new open-ended contract where the new employee will actually achieve protection rights with tenure, so gradually over time. And that could be an encouragement for Italian employers to hire new people on permanent contracts, because another big problem of the labor market at the moment is this segmentation. So there is a category of workers, certain categories of workers who are overprotected, especially older generation workers, while the new generation, new workers are usually forced to accept precarious short-term contracts. Another thing he's planning to do is to cut payroll taxes, which are among the highest in Europe at the moment, and that will help bring down labor costs and make Italy more attractive for foreign investors. So he has plenty to do, he has some ideas. My main concern would be, will he be able to push this through with the same complicated parliamentary majority as Letta had?
Yeah, so basically it's an issue of implementation, not ideology. Giuseppe Ragusa, I just want to come to you and also ask you, where is this going to leave Italy's relationship with big countries like Germany? Because obviously Germany is a huge export destination for all those Italian firms that provide jobs for people over there. And if Renzi does put himself on a collision course a little bit with Angela Merkel on the budget deficit figures that it looks like are going to be difficult to achieve, where is Italy's place in Europe with this new government?
Well, this is a really good question. I think in the last few days we are here talking, many people saying, well, with Renzi, what is going to change is going to be the relationship between Italy and Germany, and probably we're going to be able to go to Europe and be more credible in some way and get something from the German. I think listening to what German politicians have said in the last 24 hours and what the German press has said today, I wouldn't be very confident that something is going to change. I think the best possibility for improved relationship between Italy and Germany, starting to do reform, show that we are on a path of better labor markets, better productivity, better control of public finance. And then I think automatically there will be more willingness to be more understanding of the specific Italian situation. But I think nothing dramatically is going to change in the short run unless there is something, unless the Renzi government right away is going to show some significant change in its policy.
All right, Giuseppe Ragusa, thank you very much for that. Gentlemen, both of you, thank you for coming on the show, and also Vincenzo Scarpetta there from Open Europe here in our London studio. Great discussion.